and had a great week so far. How's everyone doing with the leads in their system? Is everyone actioning, kind of, making some calls, doing the best that they can, at least, doing something daily? For the most part, I always say, do something. Anything is something better than nothing. So, and yeah, so I'm not sure I've raised of hands for you guys. Were many of you guys on the webinar earlier this week with Addo, and where we were talking about Google and Google statistics when it comes to real estate? Were anyone on? Was any of you guys on there? Whoops. No one's really on there so much. So just to kind of recap what that is, and by all means, I can post the YouTube link. So for you guys that are on here, anything that we do webinar related is going to be on our YouTube channel. So the Agent Locator YouTube channel. So what I suggest, and I'll post a link in here so you guys have it, the YouTube channel itself, and should be this one here. So I'll put it in the chat for everyone. So this one here basically is what I suggest you guys do is essentially subscribe to that channel, because as soon as we post something on there that's public for you guys to see, then you're going to get that notification that we've added that new video on there. So I often get, people, you guys are busy, you can't always make the webinars, which is understandable. That you've got things to do, or you can't make the whole thing, you're working with clients and so on and so forth. So part of that webinar is essentially going over the branding. So in the transition of, when these buyers start actively looking, they notice that there's actually the amount of houses that they look at before they go and actually put a solid, purchase in is actually decreasing. People are purchasing a lot faster. Now, those stats are most relative to individuals that have already been nurtured. They've been online looking at listings, or now these are buyers that are out in cars looking at houses, going in houses, and are ready to commit to those offers. So what we primarily deal with here with Agent Locator is the nurturing of those leads up until that point, up until they're ready to go into that car, go look at houses and put that offer in. So one of the primary things that Google had mentioned, and what makes a huge difference, is your brand recognition, right? Because people are, when they're in their research stages, they're all over, they're looking, they're doing what have you. And, the brand, you being in front of these individuals all the time, is essentially what's going to happen coming back. They start to get familiar with your brand. They see your marketing out there. They start to know who you are. So there's a couple different ways that you guys can definitely do that. One is right into your system right here, needless to say. And I think we may have talked on this a little bit briefly, but that is the listing email. So the listing is more or less for the automated system, right? So when somebody signs up, they're getting those listing alerts from you. Yes, it comes from you 100%. That name is, it's associated, it's coming from you nonetheless, but the branding on that email, we definitely want it to, them to realize when we're opening up those listings, there you are, there you are, there you are. There's that consistency there. So you guys do have the ability in your email section in here for those listings that are going out on the automated system to be branded. Okay, so you don't have to use, so right now for many of you, most of you, they're probably generic. There may be the odd one that has edited theirs nonetheless, but so that's one thing you can do. There is a little tutorial in here, as well as, again, if you click the little question mark at the top, there will be a tutorial in here somewhere. Right here again. So it's basically the same video on setting that up. So you will have the option. So depending on your user type, you will have the option in here as to what type of account that you're creating nonetheless. So whether you're doing it as a company, template for everyone as a whole, or if you're just creating your own template. So really it kind of depends in that sense. So I'm just going to create the company template here. Now, again, I'm pretty sure we kind of brushed on this briefly last time, but we'll kind of go over it again. So in here, you will be able to see the header. So a lot of you guys, you're going to see the default header. It's like a little, light blue background, for example, with a house icon saying fresh new listings or something along those lines. So that is, essentially what's going to be in there. So to remove that from this area, what you're actually going to do is click on this little source code option. The source code option, for example, will have all this information in here. So what you can actually do is remove it, and then you just save it. So once you do that, it's now removed that header from this area. So one thing that you guys need to kind of pay attention to, and you may want to write this down, is 650 by that's not what I intended to do, 650 by 140 pixels. So for this top email header part of this email, the size of that image needs to be this. That makes it fit this area perfectly without making anything look distorted or jumbo or anything like that. So you can pre-edit your images as well. If you need help with this, support can definitely help. So if you have a banner on your website, for example, and I can see even if somebody does, let's just see, Jim. Let's just see if Jim has one on his website. Just to throw somebody under the bus. I hope you don't mind, Jim. I'm just going to see if you have one, because sometimes you can definitely throw it on, just copy that image right from the website. So I'm just going to copy this image, actually save this image that's on here, so I can easily upload it. And then, so once I'm in here, what I'm going to do is just upload that image. So I believe I saved it to here. And that's that. So his is already kind of fitting into the spot. It's a little bit smaller because his had a little bit narrow of in the height of his image itself. It is already that. If we kind of take a look at the image, we can see it is responsive. We can see here if I put it to 100%, what it actually does. It doesn't really change much in there. So just going ahead and taking your images, whether you're editing them beforehand or afterhand, and editing them in here. Once you have your image in the top there, you can actually go right to, yours will typically be side by side. My screen is zoomed in, just so for you guys, if you get confused, yours is going to look a little bit different, but you're going to preview the template. So once you preview it, you're going to see here that now we've got this banner at the top. Now the sizing and everything is kind of like squished, so it's a little bit blurry. We would definitely go in and adjust that. So if you guys are finding that same issue, again, just email support. They will help you get it so it's looking very professional. So now in all the emails that go out, essentially this would be at the top of that email. Now you do have the ability as well to edit the footer of that email. Now the footer can be a little bit higher. It's not as restricted as the header. So again, we can take this out and then just go okay to completely blank that space out. And then of course, upload that image again. So if we go Jim, throw Jim in there, go open, there's that there. We can preview the template again. And then at the bottom, we're going to see that he's got his branding at the top, as well as it's sandwiched in by some branding at the bottom. So now we're definitely going to have to resize this, because this one here we can see went way past the width of what we're looking for. So if we scroll all the way back up, because of my screen is being fun, we're just going to edit this image. We're going to not do that. We're going to right click this and we're going to go image. And then we need that, the appropriate sizing, which again was that 650. So you want the 650, and we can even go by 140 just to see if that works. And then there's his image there. We're going to preview that. And then again, at the bottom, it should be fitting, fingers crossed, in this lower section there. So now there's branding on either side of just a moment, Carly. Yeah. So on either side of that listing email. So now it's everyone that's getting your listing emails, they're definitely getting something that's branded. So some of you have your pictures in there. Some of you have your awards, things like that. It just brings a little bit more of you into those. So it's not so generic looking when they're seeing that. So that's the first portion of what you guys can do. Another thing that Google had mentioned was the exploding and the what they were trying to encouragement of the remarketing, so the tag marketing aspect. So some of you may have tag marketing already. Some of you may not even know what that is. So tag marketing, essentially what that does is anyone that comes to your website, so you can have the tagging script on your branded website as well as your lead gen site. If you have additional sites that aren't provided by us, we can give you the script, which you can add into those sites. So it doesn't matter where somebody goes. Basically, what's going to happen is when they go into your website, doesn't matter how they got to your website. They could have gone through direct link, YouTube, word of mouth. Doesn't matter how they got there, how long they stayed, or what page they land on, they're going to be tagged. So their IP address gets tagged. And then for 90 days, these people are going to start to see your ads all over the internet. So if we go to Kijiji, for example, and go on there, so you guys have an understanding, the tag marketing is to kind of see where you see these ad choices, where those pop up. They're all over the internet. Like, so these here, that's ad choices, that's tag marketing. That's tag marketing. So what it's going to do is it follows those visitors around for 90 days. So 90 days after visiting your website, they're going on Kijiji, they're going on YouTube, they're going on the Toronto Star, they're going on the Vancouver Sun, they're going wherever, there's your ad. They're going to see you. So it kind of reinforces that you are there. And it's really a sense of encouragement. People will click your ad and come back into your website. So we do tend to limit the impressions on this because we don't want you to be annoying. We don't want you to be that. We've probably all come across those ads where somebody doesn't put limitations and it's just like that person, doesn't matter where you turn, there's like ads everywhere for them forever. So we limit it to 5 times a day that they would see your ad. And then the next day it kind of cycles through. So we want it to enough to just, have some level of an impact, but not too much that it just becomes super overwhelming and annoying, needless to say. So you do have, again, if you guys have tag marketing, awesome. If you don't, we do have a great special I can offer you guys on here. It's a $199 setup fee. Typically, tag marketing is a $499 setup fee for a graphic designer to put it all together, get it all set up, and so on for you. Monthly, when you're looking at tag marketing, it starts at $40 a month. So $40 a month will get you 8,000 impressions, or up to 8,000 impressions. It depends on your traffic. So when you come here, every time you see an ad on a page, even if it's like this one where it's showing twice, that counts as 1 impression. Okay, so you get up to 8,000 of those a day, or a month rather, and that's for $40. So if you guys are doing a ton, you're spending a lot on lead gen, meaning you're getting a ton of traffic, the $40, the 8,000 probably isn't going to suffice. So basically, every time you double the impressions, you double the monthly, essentially. So you just want to make sure there's enough that people are seeing it often enough that they are going to see that. So if you guys are in regular contact with your sales rep, by all means, reach out to them. They'll be able to offer you that, as well as if you're not, or you don't even know who your sales rep is, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll get that order started. So here they do have just some examples that you guys can choose from when it comes to the design and what. So we throw in any branding things that you're looking for, basically incentive, right? So incentivize that advertisement to encourage somebody to want to click it and bring it in. When somebody clicks it, as mentioned, you can bring them wherever you want. You can bring them back to your lead gen site. You can bring them to a homework page. You can bring them to information about, the market, whatever you want, really, at the end of the day. So those are just some examples there. have some tag ads that we've done that you can, we can create something very similar for you if you choose so. Does anyone at this point have any questions with respect to the listing email or the tag marketing that I can answer for you guys? Again, you guys can use the Q&A, you can use the chat, and don't be shy. Often, if you have a question, somebody else will definitely have that question. So I see that Jim raised his hand. Jim, did you want to talk? I'll allow you to talk if you like. You can definitely speak up if you want to ask a question verbally.
So just was wondering, so on the YouTube channel, is that for everybody, or do we have to be some sort of a member, like on Facebook grouping or anything like that? So
no, it's for everyone. Yeah,
okay,
no, okay. Anyone can subscribe to that channel. There's nothing, it's not like our Facebook private group. That is where we will let people with services or have a sub account with us, but YouTube, it's open to the public. There is the odd video that we unlist, it goes up unlisted because it's more internal than anything, but anything that we publish as public, you would get that notification for. So you're always in the loop if you miss something that's happening. Let's just see what's in that Q&A. Sabrina is asking, do they have to have a specific number of leads in your system to be able to have tag marketing working? So that's a really good question. So with the tag marketing, you essentially, for it to initiate, you have to get 100 hits to your website. Now, we have a workaround for that. So that's not even, you don't even have to worry about that. We get it going right away for you. You do have to maintain traffic though. So you do have to maintain traffic to your website. So again, even if you turn off lead generation or you just have a branded website with us, traffic is key to anything. You need traffic for business. If you have a storefront, you need traffic going to that storefront in order to make any money out of that business. So the same with your website. You want to make sure that you have that traffic flow. So whether it's word of mouth, you're publishing things on social media and things like that. In your CRM system, you'll be able to see, we track it for you. So you're able to see how many impressions you've purchased, as well as how many impressions have shown, as well as how many people have clicked on your ad. So for somebody that is doing 8,000 impressions a month, you're going to notice about 15 to 25 clicks back into your website monthly. So it is effective. People do see it. They do click. They do come back, right? So a lot of it is that call to action, grabbing their attention with that. So Zan is asking, is there a recommended minimum amount of monthly leads for trying tag marketing? Absolutely not, then, because again, even if you're, hypothetically only spending $100 on Google, keeping in mind that not everyone that's clicking on your ad on Google is signing up, right? So a lot of them will click and then not sign up. So you're getting that traffic regardless if somebody is signing up. So even if you're getting 10 leads a month, or 5 leads a month, you're getting the traffic to keep that tag marketing going. Wade is asking, is the tag marketing in addition to the Google ads, or can it be done without a Google campaign? So Wade, good question. You can definitely do it without a Google campaign. Again, you just have to have traffic going to your website. So however you have that traffic going to your website, it does not matter. There just needs to be traffic. It needs to be able to tag someone. Now, there is ways that you can run tag marketing as if it's like a Google ad campaign, so to speak. It's very expensive. So like Sport Check, for example, that you're seeing here, they're doing it similar to how you would do a Google ad, but they're picking who they're showing this ad to based on specifics that they're doing in the back end of Google. That goes way above my knowledge, but it's very expensive. It's not cheap to do it this way. You would have to pick a very small area that you're looking to target, and yeah, you're better off remarketing to the people that have come to your website because it's going to loop them back in nonetheless. So there's creative ways of doing it. So even on if you have, let's say you're not running lead gen, but you've got an extensive database, give them a reason, send out a mass email, give them a reason to hit your website. So as soon as they click on that link from that email you sent them because you've got something on the website that they might be interested in, they're tagged. Right. So if you guys are doing any kind of mailers right now, which I know a lot of you kind of dropped off a bit, but that one marketing piece, if somebody goes to the link on that marketing piece, that's now working for you for 90 days. Right. So Hassan is asking, is it good to do tag marketing? Absolutely. It's that brand recognition. It's getting your, it's the same reason why someone would pay thousands of dollars a month to put a billboard up. It's just brand marketing, but this is more of an effective way to do it and cost-effective way. Not all of us have thousands of dollars a month to put big billboards up, right? So this is way that we are now targeting the people that have specifically expressed an interest in what it is that you're doing. So Hassan is asking again how much it costs per month. So Hassan, it starts at $40 a month. So it's $40 a month for up to 8,000 impressions. The amount of impressions you need is solely based on your website traffic. So most of our clients, many of our clients are able to stick at that $40 a month, 100%. But if you start to notice again in the back end, you will be able to see how it's performing. So if you start to notice you're really getting close to that 8,000 or going over that 8,000, you're probably going to want to bump it up to that next tier. Because if you're going over, it'll show that you're going over. You're not getting charged for going over or anything like that. But what's ended up happening is, the people that are seeing it, they're like seeing it maybe once a day. It just becomes really like less effective for you. It's really not going to do as much as it would if you had. So yes, that's correct, Hassan, 40 for 8,000. Let's just see. So Hassan is asking, can you choose the day and time to target? That's a very good question. I would actually need to ask Sunny on that. I believe you can, but I would definitely need to confirm with him if he can be specific. I know you can choose target areas as well. So like I know that the target area can be chosen. So I feel like we should be able to do the time and day, but again, I'll ask. But I know if you guys, some of you all, like you get, depending on where you work, you get leads from all over the place, but not necessarily do you want to market to all of the leads from all over the place. So that's one way that you can kind of focus your marketing. So if you like, say you only want to target the people where their IP addresses are indicating a specific city, then you can definitely do that. So that's one thing to consider. Yeah, so I don't know what would be the purpose behind choosing only Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only. People are on their phones and the internet all day long, every single day. So I'm not sure, it really depends on those and, if people are clicking, right? People will click all different times. People register on your website in the middle of the night, right? So I'm not sure what people probably do less browsing on the weekend because they're out doing stuff. It's their time off. Whereas when they're working or at home, they're online doing stuff. Or in the evenings, right? When they're not working, they're doing stuff during the week. But I can definitely ask 100%. I'll ask the team with respect to that. And I'll actually ask right now, see if I can get an answer from him so that we can see. So we'll see if he gets back to me by the time we are kind of wrapped up this webinar nonetheless. So that is really it on the branding side of things. Again, make sure when you guys do also in your email settings, updating your email signatures, making sure so that when you are sending out any kind of email correspondence or email correspondence for a campaign, it's really noticeable. You can also put together an email header in here as well. So again, she's already got this in here, but you can throw that in. It is a shortcode. So when you're putting an email together, you can have, again, any email that you're sending out sandwiched with your branding. So they really kind of know who it is. So that's kind of a personal preference if you choose to do that and so on and so forth. So that is that section of everything. Any more questions surrounding that, or are we all kind of good on that front? We're good. Perfect. Now, I know we've gone through all the filters. We've gone through anything, a lot of extensive. Some of you guys may have been on here for some things. Some may not have been on. Is there anything in here? I always say, everyone raise your hands 100%, ask your questions. If you have this question, guarantee there's at least one other person that has the same question as you or would benefit from your question. They just haven't thought of it yet. So is there anything in here that you would really like to know how to do or have a better understanding on? And you can raise your hand. I can allow you to talk, or you can use the chat or Q&A. So, whoops. I was going to go into my list. So I got Brana in here from the training department. Brana, from your experience, because you do a lot of the trainings, for anyone that's in here, I don't do a lot of trainings anymore. There's, a handful that I do. What is probably one of the most common things that comes up for you as far as somebody that needs to understand how to do something?
The biggest thing would be filters.
The filters. So understanding the filters altogether, or
understanding how to create them and how they're going to work to help them stay on target in terms of following up with their leads. Because I find that when I'm checking in with my clients and when I'm speaking to them with extra training sessions, it 99.9% of the time, it comes right back to, I don't know where to start, or I don't know who to call first, or, something like that. And we go over filters with them. But I would say filters for sure.
Okay, perfect. And we've had a couple questions in. Oh, it's just Wade saying hi. Not a question. Wade says
hi. Wade. Hi, Wade.
So I know we did do a session on the filters. So this one right here, you can see and anyone that's watching, when I come in, you're noticing that it's staying on this active leads every time I log in. So that's actually a default filter. So one of the things that you guys can do, and I would suggest doing it with your must call list today as your default. So whether it's your 1 week check-in people or the new leads, I would say that would be your default filter. So to select your default filter, you just select the filter from here, and then you just click this little save button. Looks like a compact disc, floppy disk from back in the day. You just click on that, and then if I was to sign back in to the CRM system, this would now be, every time I sign in, this is what I'm looking at. So when it comes to the filters, again, we tend to have them set up for you. Some of you will have 2 in here. Some of you will have more than that. Some of you, we've gone and you were on past webinars and may have created all these filters for yourself, which would be amazing. So it's really getting into the habit of using them, because they're built to help you in the system. And I always say, if you need to create a specific audience and you're really not sure how to do that, just reach out. I can take a look. I can typically wrap my brain around it in a few moments and try to figure it out, and usually come up with a result for you in some way, shape, or form. But really using the filters allows for you guys to create very specific audiences for yourself, as well as it keeps you on track. Because if we're looking at a dashboard that has, in this case, only 20 pages, but some of you guys have hundreds of pages of leads in your system, many people will filter just based on sorting on the activity column, but then you're forgetting, in many cases, all the leads that haven't necessarily been active right away. We tend to deal with the leads that are active first, because that makes us most comfortable. We know that they've been doing something. It's the ones that may not have been active in the last little bit that we're kind of like a little more hesitant as to how we're going to be reaching. So when you want to get into your save filters, we're going up here to your applied save filter, and then you're just clicking on the number 1 first. So what this filter is going to do for you guys is it's pulling up all your leads where you've never initiated a call. Okay, so this again, we have to log our calls. I don't care if you're using Twilio or you're manually logging your calls, doesn't matter, you have to log your calls. We need to know when we last spoke to somebody or connected with them in order to know when to action that again. A lot of you, I used to be in sales here at Agent Locator, and I get comments all the time like, man, you're so good at follow-up, you should be in real estate. It really came down to logging anything. My memory is not great, I'll tell you that. It just really came down to logging. That's all it is. If you can do the same, if you can just remember to log, you will have a consistent follow-up and it will work for you. So the number of calls is equal to 0. We only want leads that we can potentially call in this case because it is a call list. And then the pipeline is not that new lead try to contact. I mean, these are leads we have not made contact with. Okay, now for some of you, you may have a ton of leads in here, which to be 100% honest with you, it's not abnormal. Okay, so don't look at yourself any differently. It's not abnormal. There's several individuals in that same boat. If you notice that, what you can do is add additional filter right here. And you can do it either by registration or by activity. So I always choose last activity because regardless of when someone registered, if they're active, I kind of want them in this list. So last activity, and then try to start at, you go all leads within the last number of days. And I always start with 30 and see what populates into that list. And here there's only 3. So then I might change this to 60 to see what happens here. There's only 4. So kind of expanding it that way. Once you get the number that you're looking for and in here that seems like it's manageable for yourself, just click update. And then once you get through that list, you can continue to grow and expand this number. And every time you expand it, you click update to the point where eventually you can remove it and then click update in here. And yes, and so when we have this here, so that's your first list. So when we're calling these leads, again, really depends on your market area. A lot of us, we say don't leave a voicemail. Some people love leaving voicemails. Really, again, depends on your market, but keep in mind as well, if somebody is not quite ready to commit to anything, they're not going to necessarily call you back. Consider yourself, right? You guys are all clients of ours. We would have been following up with you. We would have been leaving you voice messages. You probably didn't call us back just because we left a voice message. If anything, you're like, oh, it's Crystal. Now you've identified, oh, it's Crystal trying to call me again. I'm not ready to talk. I'm not ready to buy anything. I'm not ready to buy anything. Things like that, right? So again, I always say call them, at least 4 times before leaving a voicemail if you're going to leave a voicemail. And an incentive, like give them incentive to give you a call back, a reason why they would want to call you back, right? Now, so when we're calling them, we let it ring. We can hit voicemail on that first call. It's really just to determine if that name on the voicemail is the same as the lead or not. And if it's not, we're just leaving a note because it could be somebody in the same household nonetheless. So you can call your leads this way, dial your lead with your Twilio. This is going to be faster. It's about 30 seconds faster per person when you're calling through Twilio. And then you still have your call results. So it will default on no message left. And then you can put your call notes, of course, if you do talk to somebody. And you would, of course, change this to talk to lead if that was the case. So then you just you have this lead navigation. You just keep going through your leads. You would call all 4 of these leads. You clear this list. This number 1 filter, you want this cleared out. Where's my number 1? You would want this cleared out daily. Okay, so that's where it's manageable. So if you have, in this case, for example, 89 leads, call 20 of them a day. Don't call all 89 because the next filter is going to have you calling them all again. Okay, so only bite off as much as you can chew. So there is that. So then we go into the second filter. So these are the leads that we've already tried to call at least once, but now we have to continue to call because we didn't get them on the phone. So what you're going to do is in your system, you're going to go over here. If you have leads in your number 1 list, you are going to flip over here to last contact call. This is then going to push your list to all the people that you've already tried calling at the top of the list. From here, you're then just going to call everyone that you've already tried calling. So this is going to have you calling your leads every other day for a total of 8 calls. This is 2 weeks of calling a lead, 16 days essentially of calling a lead. So you're going to open up the first one and then so you call Crystal. The next time you call Crystal after that first call, you're only letting it ring for 23 seconds. 23 seconds, even if you're on your mobile phone, you're looking at the thing, 23 seconds. If that person doesn't answer, you hang up, you save that call, you click on to the next lead. Again, this is where Twilio is faster, because if you're doing it on your cell phone, you're having to punch this number in on your cell phone, then you're going here, you're making sure you log the call and save, then move to the next. So it just takes a little bit longer, but still you got to do it. So that's your second filter that you're going to go through. You then, of course, have your third filter for some of you. I'm not going to go through all the extensive filters today, but because most of you only have up to number 3. So what you're going to do on this one's going to be everyone in your pipeline that you've either made contact with or set a meeting. So either whether it's a phone or in-person meeting, and only the people that have been active within the last 30 days. You don't have to worry about this tag one here unless you have those extra filters. If you guys don't have those extra filters, they're really there to help you with your follow-ups on your leads. So if you guys have your assigned trainer, reach out to your assigned trainer. They can schedule a follow-up session with you and go over those filters and have a better understanding of them, because the follow-up is the key to gaining the transaction nonetheless. So in your made contact, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you're tagging your leads. Nonetheless, that's going to give you a quick synopsis, and of course, logging your calls nonetheless. So that's where those check-in ones come in, where you're tagging, you're trying to get their timelines, right? We really need to know when these people are moving and why they're moving. That's going to be your true indication as to how often you should be following up and what you should be offering them in the meantime, kind of thing. So putting those people all in here, and then if you do get the check-in filters, there is one that you can create. You just create your tags. So there's a 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, quarterly, wherever that one went, quarterly, and then a 6 month. Okay. So there's way down here. So there's the quarterly and then the 6 months. So based on those timelines of that person, you're going to tag them with the appropriate follow-up check-in tag. And then that's where your check-ins kind of come into play. I do believe I created a Google sheet for all of these filters. I believe I did, and I believe I sent it on the day of that webinar. So I can definitely send it off to you guys if you need it, or again, reach out to your trainer. They will walk you through it as well as follow up. So sometimes we do this in 2 sessions with you guys, because the first session is homework. You've got to go through your list here, start tagging your leads and get those timelines, or call them if you haven't had a conversation. Really, the people in your made contact are people that you've made contact with, but we haven't grabbed enough information from them yet to know how we should be frequently following up with them. So that's just one thing that you just have to do your homework. Do your sample tag list. Some of you guys, I know I've sent it off before. It's a sample tag so that you can easily identify your leads as well. It just helps you to categorize them and so on and so forth. So I hope that those filterings help everyone. Let's just see if there's any questions. So Karen is saying, I worked with 0 logged in calls, but I keep getting the same people I called and not people that I haven't called. So that would be, Karen, if I had to guess, you're not logging the call as a call, you're logging it as a note. That is the truest indication of that. So again, when you open up, so it doesn't matter if she's unsubscribed here, in your notes and call section, please take note. There is a note and there is a call. So if this is a note, this is like me throwing a sticky note on the computer. Nothing changes in the calls, nothing there. It's a note in the system. So you want to make sure that you're prompted. So you have to choose a call result. In this case, it would be no message left. You then can backdate your call. So if you know you called this person 2 days ago at, let's just say 11:40, you can then save that. And then when it saves, we're going to notice it'll save over here as well. I don't know why it's taking so long. I love this technology sometimes. There we go. We now have 4 calls on this lead. And down here, because we made that call a couple days ago, whatever day I did it on the 23rd, that's why, is down here. So at 11:40 a.m. on the 23rd, there's the call. So that's what you're looking for, Karen, when you're making calls, not the note. Okay, so that's like common, very, very common. So notes are there, it was great, but you gotta log your calls as calls with the notes in order for the system to recognize it as a call. Yeah, so that's there. So you're calling in Twilio. Okay, so you have no confusion between calls and notes. Okay, that's not a worry, but there is a lot for others. And so I would have to look at your system as to why it's populating the same people. It shouldn't in your number 1 list. If you've already logged a call on these people and actually saved that call, then they shouldn't be in that list. The number 2, of course, is going to be, you will keep seeing the same people in there because the same people are going to keep populating every other day. So it's always going to keep going. So that's normal. Like you might, if I call Elma today, Elma would fall off. I wouldn't see her tomorrow, but I'm definitely going to see her the next day because I haven't made contact. So you're calling them every other day. So I hope that maybe helps you out a little bit. So for you, Karen, you'd have to just filter out. So your login list contains on-hold leads too. Same with garbage leads. So you just have to filter those people out. So the garbage leads shouldn't be, if they're in your garbage pipeline, they shouldn't be because they should not be showing up there because these are only people in here that these are the pipeline. Okay, so I'm not sure what it is. If you can filter out people though, so if you can keep adding filters. So if you want people with a tag that is none of these tags, that's garbage or on hold, then you can do that or create a specific filter. People that are on hold shouldn't also be in your number 1 filter because, or number 2, because at that point we would have made contact with them to know that they're on hold. Right, so if we haven't made contact with someone, how would we know that their search is on hold? So they shouldn't even be in one of those 2 filters anyway. Okay, so I'll have to jump into your account, Karen, and take a look because they shouldn't, because you changed their pipeline to make contact because on hold people should not be in this filter here. Let me just see, I know there was another chat question in here. So someone's asking, can you elaborate on task notification and email notification? Absolutely. So for some of you guys, you may have lead alerts. Some of you may not have lead alerts turned on, I should say. So you can definitely do that over here under the administration section, and you just go to user accounts. So once you're in the user accounts here, you have to action it from this side, not this side. Okay, so you have to go through this little administration section and access the user account this way. So when we open up the user account specifically, see how there's no lead alerts? You don't see lead alerts on here. You're going to go to CRM settings and you're going to turn that on and just go save. And then when we go back, you just hit any page, you can see that now the lead alerts just popped up. So here, you can turn on the daily reminders about the tasks that you've created in here. So it depends on the status of your task. So most of you will probably have these 2 that you would want to, or even those ones, those few there. You then have your lead alerts for the lead activity. Okay, so these are notifications for yourself. Now you do have one where you get notified every time the lead is active after 4 hours. unless you have like a dedicated robot that can work your leads for you, I don't recommend having that on completely. I would have it on select leads so you can specify specific people that you may want to turn on. Now, this feature is only available for certain boards for some reason. When I'm logging into systems, I'm going to have to check with our dev team why I can see it in some systems, but not other systems. It's kind of confusing for me. And then you can choose how you would get notified. Do you want to get notified by email, SMS, or email and SMS? And the reason why, like, you wouldn't want this for all your leads is literally if you had, let's say, 500 leads in your dashboard, and you know you have a fairly active dashboard, you're going to get bombarded with notification, and then the important notification you just don't even look at because there's just so many notifications. So I would only select individuals. When a lead looks at a property 3 times, yes, we want to set this up. So what happens then is if a lead in your system looks at one of the listings you've sent them 3 or more times, it's going to send you a notification of that activity. So you can then be more proactive and try to initiate a conversation, whether it be a phone call or an SMS message. And again, you can choose how you're going to get notified. You also have it when they like a property. So this is a great one to have. I would turn this one on yes as well, notifying you again. This again, you can be proactive. Hey, Crystal, I noticed that you liked 123 Any Street. Was there something about that property that you really liked? I'd love to be able to send you more that are just like it. Or is there any other, any questions I can have answered about that home? So things like that. You'll also get notified when a lead becomes active after 30 days. So that is, you can't even change that. So anytime a lead is dormant and then all of a sudden active again, you would get that notification and then you just save it here. So once your lead alerts are on, and I'm pretty sure I have them on this main account, I could be wrong though, because I did not just turn that on for this account. So that's what I'm looking for. So when you choose selected leads, this is what you would select. So this would be like, so now every time this lead goes online and looks at listings, doesn't matter how many listings, how many times, whether they favorite it, you get a notification. So this is great when you are perhaps really monitoring a lead, or if you have an active buyer in here, you really want to kind of see and stay up to date with what they're doing, so you can kind of follow up with what may be of interest to them with respect to that. Now, with your tasks as well, you can definitely get those, email. You get that email once in the morning with a reminder of all your daily tasks. You do have the ability over here in the overview section to look at those tasks as well. So in the overview task section, you can see all the tasks. So you can see overdue and upcoming tasks. So these are all like today and overdue, for example, when it decides to load for us here. So you can do that. You can choose the ones, maybe I want to see only the ones that are completed. You can choose the sort level. You can choose the time frame. Why did this just freeze on me? You can choose when the time frame of this tax is. So if I want any tax that was due this month, for example, or I can choose custom dates in here as well. You can also choose to look at find tasks by keyword. So there's 7 in here. So let's just go call and see how many come up with the keyword call in them. There's 4. So 4 of the 7 tasks had a keyword call. So we've got a call there. We got a call. Okay, so that's how that works. And then, of course, in your user profile, again, in your preferences, you can access it this way. You would then turn on the integrations, and then you can connect your Google account so that the tasks you create also pop up in your Google Calendar as well. So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's a relevant question to this. So Hassan, So Hassan is asking, when we have a lead whose number is wrong and the email is also wrong, do we mark that lead as garbage? Yes. So in the pipeline, you would mark that lead as garbage. You can, like, we don't encourage you to delete your leads. They're never actually deleted, even if you do. So the only time you should really mark somebody's pipeline as garbage is really if there's no method to communicate with them. So you got a bad email or an unsubscribed email and a bad or unsubscribed phone. There's no method of communication. So that's a garbage lead. And the reason why we would kind of just not delete it, again, it's never really deleted. There's a few reasons. If you're wanting to pull up your stats ever, they're never going to be, you know, accurate because you're deleting a bunch of leads. And also some of these people, keeping in mind your website has cookies. So if they happen to come on your website again and you have their phone number marked as invalid, for example, the minute they jump on there and go to look at a listing, the system's going to say, hey, can we get your valid phone number, please? Right? So there's ways around it where that lead would then, you would see, oh, that thing is there. How many times I've had it where somebody's like, oh my gosh, I got this thing that so-and-so is active. I can't find this lead anywhere. They're like missing. Like, you deleted the lead, that's why. So that's why we also don't delete the lead, because they can't all of a sudden become active again. And then you can't find them. So that's just a kind of like a rule of thumb for you guys. Jim is asking, can the calendar be linked to Google Calendar? Yes. So if you do that integration and connect it to Google, if you create a task in here, that task is showing up in your Google Calendar as an event at that day and time you've made that event for. So just to give you guys an example, I'm going to pull over my calendar here. That isn't just all my events. So I am not this swamped, I'll tell you that much. I am busy, but not this busy. So here you can see these little events right here. These are actually tasks that we've created in the CRM system. So when you create that task, it shows up here. It also gives you a link right into that lead. So you can be as descriptive about your task as you want to, but nonetheless, it's going to pull up that lead right there and you'll be able to action it right there. So yeah, so it's super handy, 100%, you know, creating those important tasks on those leads. You definitely don't want to miss them. And that's one way that, that you can go about doing that. Let me just see here. So Hassan is asking, how soon should we call the lead on receiving the information of the lead? So basically, at your earliest opportunity, Hassan, is 100%, you know, what I recommend. Keeping in mind that, you know, some people are different. Everyone's different. I know Nick, who does some of our live dials, he waits till the next day. That's just how he prefers to do it. Some people, like, they're really like trying to get to them within the first few minutes. Really hard to do, but, you know, all the power to you. So I say at your earliest opportunity. So there is always that saying that goes around, and I don't even know what the exact saying is or how they word it. It's like the first one to call, something, whatever. I basically say it's really the first one that calls that adds the most value that's going to get the business. Because we can be the first one to call and have really poor skills on the phone. I'm pretty sure that lead isn't going to be very confident in that person that first called them, right? So the only time that would actually probably come into effect is if that lead was hot to trot and ready to go look at houses this weekend. That would probably be the only circumstance that the initial person that talks to the person is going to get the business. Because that initial person that talked to them, guaranteed they're going to forget to follow up. So that's where you're going to use your filters. It doesn't take much to beat your competition, 100%. You don't have to rush. So it really depends. I don't know who told you that. You don't have to rush your call. Call at your earliest opportunity, Hassan. If you don't have time to call them today, don't sweat it. Yes, the early bird catches more worms sometimes, right? Yeah, but not a lead. I don't know. It really, really depends, right? Again, I'm sure we've all been in that scenario where we can speak to different people in the same area of expertise, and one of them is just like, wow, you've impressed me. I'm going to do business with you. The other one may have called me first, but you could tell I don't feel as confident in what you're offering me, or I feel like you're just going for the jugular and looking for a paycheck, right? So it's really who's going to add the most value. And again, that's why I always elaborate, customer service, guys, focus customer service. That's what's going to get you the business and the results you're looking for. We're all in sales 100%, but if we go too salesy of an approach, that's where people stand back. I always say, consider yourself in any kind of situation where someone's trying to sell you something. Our guards tend to go up a bit when that happens. So Karen is saying, how would you tag a lead that I don't want to be contacted? So you don't want to contact that lead, or the lead has asked to not be contacted? If you can just clarify that, Karen, that'd be great. And so you also put that on hold leads I put in. So those are leads that you manually entered, I'm guessing, that are for the future and cannot be contacted. So Karen, what you're going to do, I think Karen, do we create the check-in filters for you? I can't remember, but somebody that's on hold that are for the future, you've obviously made contact with them at some point, or someone made contact with them at some point. So you're going to move them into contact, indicating why they're in contact, and make sure you have a note of some sort or an email or some sort in there so you know why it's on made contact if there is no associated phone call. And then you're going to use a follow-up tag, one of the check-in tags. So somebody that's a future, if they're not looking to transact anytime soon, you're going to put them in the 6 months check-in, for example. If you don't want them to receive any kind of mass communications in the meantime, which depending on what you're at, I don't know why you wouldn't want them for that brand recognition. You could then, I would just create a tag, do not contact, or something that you're going to remember. So when you're going to send out any kind of communication like that, to exclude the people that have this tag, do not contact, even if you've made contact with them and what have you. Now, if it's a lead, then that you don't want to contact in any way, shape, or form, you can just unsubscribe them. Just click on, this is the wrong one. I'm still in the Agent Locator one, so let me get rid of that. So you can just unsubscribe them. So in their email, just go opt out. In their phone number, go opt out. This will prevent you from sending a mass text or them being included on any mass communications. So then every time you go to reach out to them, you would manually remove that opt out and then call them and then put it back on, if that helps you at all. Yeah, so they're still in there, they're active. It just is, again, so I don't know how, that's fine. But yeah, I would put them in your follow-up filters for those people. So somebody that's, again, 6 months down the road, or like a 6 month check-in is somebody that's like a future. They're like a year plus 2 years out. We're going to check in with them every 6 months. And for you guys that were watching, what's great about these filters is that it's not relevant of activity, because somebody that's planning a move in a year and a half from now isn't necessarily going to be looking at the listings all the time that you're sending them, right? So it's just, again, following up, offering, just checking in. You're building that relationship, right? It's seeing how they're doing. And that's, again, why your notes, your call notes are super important, you guys. It's leaving those notes as if you're leaving them for somebody else. Like you're walking away from this and someone's going to take over. Make sure they're like that, because somebody that you spoke to 6 months ago, you're not going to remember the conversation. So making sure that it's all in there, and even tidbits of information about, things outside of real estate that you picked up on. They're dropping their kid off at soccer, or they've got animals, or they got whatever, making notes about that, because it's something that you can bring up in conversation. You know, people will be impressed if you start throwing things, you know, back from an original conversation that you actually remembered that. You didn't really remember that. You just happened to put up a good note. There is, so yeah, so the follow-up filters are all the same, Hassan. So kind of going in, so these ones I know you have, I'm pretty sure, the 3. You then have your 1-week check-in. So these are all the same. They're just changing the tag and the contact. So I have mine on phone. You can change it to phone and SMS for you guys, because you can do you can alternate check-ins, especially if it's a 1-week check-in, alternate between calling and voicemail and in SMS in there. So basically, when you have your check-in filter, anyone that has this tag, they're going to populate in this list. Okay, so it's been a month on this person here. So as soon as I, hypothetically, let me just go in and I'm going to log a call on this person as if I called them today. And let's just say I left a voicemail and then save it. This person, you're going to see this number is going to drop because we've now logged a call. And so what will end up happening is this person will now, if we go back, she'll move. If I navigated the other way, she would have moved as well. We've only got 8 people in here. So now that person I technically called will automatically reappear here 7 days later. Okay, so you just have to, again, remember to log things. So then you go through your number 2. This is your 2-week check-in. Again, same idea. You guys do phone and SMS 100% if you're alternating in here, because you don't always have to do your check-ins by phone call. And then I tend to put this at 17 rather than 14, entirely up to you, but that just kind of puts it right smack between 2 and 3 weeks is all that does in there. And so they're all the same. So you're just changing. So you're having tag, any, and then the check-in tag was not contacted by phone or SMS. And then it's all leads within the last number of days. And then you choose, for example, in this case, I would do 17 normally. And so I would update this to that. And so the same idea. The difference here when you're going down is I add different asterisks so that they're going in the different order. So the 1 and 2 have 1 asterisk. The 1 month or monthly will have 2 so that they go in that order. And then the 6 month has 3. So then they go in the appropriate order in there. Let me just see if I can have, that as in my drive, like I can share it in the group right now. Because I know we went over putting these all together and everything. And so I just want to see if it is in here, because I feel like I put it together, so I'm not sure. Let me look at my recent campaign. All righty. I found it, you guys. I found it. So I'm going to share it in the group here. There's little videos as well in here and so on. So I have the quick guide tutorial on all of it. So let me copy that. So this is essentially what I'm sending you guys. So it'll be the setting up your filters and tags. So basically, here's that quick tutorial to creating your follow-up check-in tags, quick tutorial on saving the filters, and then the quick tutorial on using it. So here, I kind of give you basically what it is that you need to set up. So the number of calls equals 0, so on and so forth, and then how you're saving that. And then the same with the check-in filters is the same idea. I've given you screenshots and so on. So let me put that in the chat for everyone. And there you go, Hassan. You now have that, so you can actually take it and look at it and do whatever you like in there. All righty. And everyone actually. So it's really a great habit of just logging your stuff 100%. That's where those check-ins are just going to become more effective for you. And again, it's your follow-up that's going to earn you the business. 100%. It's very seldom that we speak to somebody the first call and they're hot to trot, ready to go. It's a lot of them need nurturing, and it's understanding that they're in the preliminary phases of some sort of the home buying process. So Sam, if you weren't on there, so what I would suggest doing is going on to our YouTube channel. So let me just copy and I'll put it back here. So all of our webinars are uploaded to YouTube, provided that I remember to record it. So this one I did remember to record. I did not stream live this time on Facebook. So Alba would be posting that in our Facebook group after the fact. So she'll upload it and do all the editing and fancy work that she does. But yeah, if you go onto our YouTube channel, you just subscribe to that channel, you're going to get updated and notified every time we do something on there. So anytime we host any kind of webinar, it's going on there, because we know a lot of you guys aren't able to miss it or make it so it's live. So we want to make sure that you always have access to it after the fact as well. So Karen doesn't understand why we have the asterisk. So the asterisk puts it in the sort order. So if I remove these asterisks, this is going to go in alphabetical order. So what'll end up happening is my 1 month will show up above my 1 week because the M comes before a W. So that's why I'm throwing asterisks in to force the alphabetical order. You can try it without and you'll see what I mean. It's just always in alphabetical order. So asterisks, and then basically it goes based on your numbers on your keyboard. So like if I wanted filters to show up above these number 1, 2, 3, 4, I would have to use either an exclamation mark as a safe filter or an @ symbol as a safe filter. Okay, if I want to have something show up after my asterisks, then I would use like a dash, one of the dash things, or a plus sign, for example, or an equal sign. That's going to have it, so it's always in alphabetical order. That's why I throw those in there, just so that it's always consistent in there. But that's really it for today, guys. I hope you're all walking away with some sort of knowledge. Again, if Hassan, I got your message about having someone reach out to you about your tag. So I will definitely do that. Again, if you guys are all in regular contact with your sales rep, reach out to them. Otherwise, just shoot me an email. I'll get the process going for you. Again, it's $199 promo set up for you guys and $40 a month to start. Again, that $40 is really dependent on how much you're doing with traffic. Why? So we can always take a look and see what is recommended based on your traffic. But a lot of our clients are set and good to go at that $40, or some of you guys may want to give it a try at the $40 first and then increase it afterwards. And again, basically you double the impressions, you double the monthly. So everyone have a great afternoon, and we will see you all next week. And take care, and thanks for participating in this afternoon's leveraging webinar.